Welcome back to another edition of Six Borough Sports. Today, we talk Mets, we talk Yankees right before All Star Weekend. Two teams heading in very different directions, but they're both still in the playoff hunt. But before we get started, I'd like to please remind everyone to like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to hit 50 subscribers. Thank you so much for the views and comments in the last few videos. They've been great. Starting off, the New York Mets. Welcome to the Grimace era. The Mets have been playing very good baseball over the past few weeks. They've had some hiccups and some ups and downs, but they're winning games, and that's really all that matters. They survived the Edwin Diaz substance debacle, and we're still able to come out on top. And they're sitting, I think, right now at the second wild card spot. Looking good, all things considered. The way they were going in the first half of the season was not pretty. Alonso, he's getting up into the 240s. Lindor is hitting the cover off the ball. He's been great. Vientos has been fantastic, which is bad news for Batty. And then we got, of course, Nemo finally figuring it out. The only guy who hasn't figured it out is McNeil. So we'll see what's going on with that in the second half. Maybe McNeil can pick it up. Marte's been in and out with a hamstring. That's been an issue for him. But the Mets are looking very good right now. It will be interesting to see how the starting pitching adapts in the bullpen. We're tossing around a lot of guys like Budo in the bullpen and might be getting rid of Hauser soon. There's a whole bunch of options for that. I'm very intrigued to see how Senga affects the rotation and if he can pitch at full capacity when he returns. I was hoping he could return after the All-Star break. It's not looking like that. He might return a little later, but it is what it is. But we got Christian Scott pitching okay. The Mets have a lot of work to do if they want to make the playoffs. They got to keep winning. They got to create some distance, the standings for the rest of the pack from the rest of the pack. But it's looking good. I mean, they're salvaging this season. They're giving us a reason to watch in the second half. Nimmo challenged management to, not be sellers at the deadline. We'll see what happens with that. I'm not overly optimistic about it because we're still kind of in a rebuilding stage. We don't have the pitching staff that we need to, and we still have a lot of people underachieving. But it's nice to be optimistic going into the All-Star break and not totally giving up on the season like, the Marlins are, who can't even trade a lot of their people because they're just injured. But the Marlins are going to be making trades. I think Jazz might be traded, and one of those teams is the Yankees. Still interested to see what happens to Alonso. The Mets could, in theory, trade him and then maybe try to re-sign him, or just trade him and then use that money to go after Soto. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what Stearns is thinking, but hopefully they, keep riding and keep doing what they're doing, and they can at least sneak into the playoffs and cause a little bit of havoc. That would be really nice. But it's the Mets. They always find a way to make things interesting. And they're in a tough division with the Braves and Phillies, although they are catching up to the Braves and they're dragging them back into the fight. But we'll see. The Phillies are way ahead of everyone else. They're one of the best teams in baseball right now. And they've filled up the All-Star roster with all those votes. The Mets only got Alonso in there. But we'll see what happens after the All-Star break. We need to get Senga back, and we will see how the bullpen. I'm really disappointed in Ottavino. And we'll see if any of the younger guys come up, like Acuna or maybe one of the other prospects that we got in the Verlander or Scherzer trades. Moving on, we got the Yankees kind of in a free fall until they play Baltimore and were able to take 2 of 3. They should have taken 3 of 3 before the All-Star break, but that keeps them out of first place. The Red Sox are on fire and breathing down their neck. And at the beginning of the season, Houston was kind of in the same position as the Mets, and they're creeping up the standings along with Tampa. So everybody is creeping up on the Yankees right now, and it's starting to catch up to them. Um, Not hustling, poor fielding, lack of hitting from everybody but Soto and Judge. Stanton being out has really hurt their lineup. So it's going to be interesting if they what kind of moves they can make. A lot of people say, "Oh, the Mets are going to trade Alonso to them." I don't see it, especially now that the Mets are in the kind of the playoff hunt. Like the Yankees would have to pay a premium to get Alonso because it's like an in-city trade, and if you're the Mets, you have to really get something for him for what's essentially a rental. And I don't see that happening. And if the Mets do it, they're stupid because the Yankees don't even really have any prospects, from what I understand, to make a decent trade. So they could get Jazz Chisholm from the Marlins. That would be interesting. He The problem with Jazz, and he's been a problem with this has been a problem with him in the Marlins, is he gets injured. He's not consistently healthy, and their Yankees are having that problem with Stanton right now. And Stanton was having a pretty good season. It will be interesting to see what happens with Soto if he, gets frustrated with his team. If for some reason, they don't end up making the playoffs. But yeah, I don't know. They need to get their act together. Here's a question that I have for the Yankees is let's say they don't make the playoffs. Is Cashman finally gone? I think Boone is gone for sure if they don't make the playoffs. But is Cashman finally gone after all these years? Like how many times can they quote unquote underachieve? I don't think they've necessarily underachieved based on their roster, but they're going to be entering a new stage. I think they're going to try to cut costs next year. Garrett Cole is a free agent. Soto's a free agent. They got Judge in that big contract. They still have that Stan contract, which is pretty bad. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think they're just stealing Marlins. They got Stanton, and they're going to go out and get Jazz Chisholm. Uh, but I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Yankees if they don't make the playoffs. I think they are. At the end of the day, I think they're gonna go on another hot streak and continue to win games, just because they have been really cold lately, and they played so great in the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year, it looked like it was going to be Phillies Yankees. Like just write it down. That's the World Series matchup. Phillies Yankees. It's going to happen. Now I don't know. I don't know. Um, But the second half should be interesting for both the Mets and the Yankees. They have a lot to play for, which is great. I just don't see the Yankees unless they make a major move that has a huge impact. Like I see them making the playoffs, but I don't see them doing a lot of damage because they're beatable. They're vulnerable. They're going to need to step up defensively for sure, and then they're going to need to get more consistent at high batting average hitting. And then I think they can really upgrade their lineup in those ways. But they can't have sloppy days, and they can't have days when they don't hustle in the fall. It's just not going to end well for them. Like that last game where they blew that ninth inning lead to Baltimore, that can't happen. That just can't happen if they want to be successful. They're not that talented, that much better in talent over these other teams where they can bully teams like they used to, back in the 90s. That's not who they are anymore. And also, speaking of which, the Red Sox, yes, they might not be as talented, but they have their number this year. They are giving the Yankees fits. So, and they're right on their tail, and they love nothing more than to beat the Yankees. So, the Yankees got to get their act together. The Mets are kind of getting their act together. There's still some stuff to be desired, but the Mets roster is not really something. I mean, if they all achieve what they're supposed to, they're a playoff team. But right now, they need to make some steady upgrades to make a real impact. I don't want to be trading prospects if I'm the Mets. I don't think they're going to win the World Series this year, so there's no reason to dump everything to build a team that I don't think is going to win the World Series. They don't have the pitching staff to do it. Um, so we'll see what happens in the second half. All-Star game should be all right. Going to see, Alonso in the home run derby yet again. Should be fun. Hopefully he can win, but we'll see. And one last note. I got to talk about that Colombia Argentina game. What the hell was that? Really? Really? You're just letting people in like that? And then on top of it, like starting the game, like it was supposed to, I think, start at like 7:30, got pushed back. So it was there 8:15, got pushed back. It ended up starting at 9:15. And I mean, the crowd looked great, but they were into it. But also, it wasn't the greatest game to watch. I mean, I'm not a big, soccer fan, but come on, 0-0 for over 100 minutes. Yeah, 0-0 for over 100 minutes. That's a hard to watch. And then Messi got hurt on top of it. So it was not a good look. I mean, yes, I guess it's a good game because it's 1-0. I mean, the Spain England game looked better. I didn't watch it because I'm not that into soccer, but I did watch most of the Argentina game, but it wasn't that. I mean, the 0-0 games are not fun to watch. They're very frustrating. Um, but not a good look letting all those fans get in like that. That was crazy. And then I heard some of the players' families couldn't get into the game because they had tickets, but they were at capacity because so many people got in. Not a good look ahead of the World Cup for Miami. Um, but you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But that's it for this week. I'd like to remind everyone to once again, please like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get to 50 subscribers. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye.